Hi, everybody. This is Dr. T, and I'm coming at you again with another one of our client capstone interviews where I go in depth with our different clients who have gone through our program to really give you all a sense of what the journey is and what's possible, and to answer all of the questions that come into me on a daily and weekly basis about the program, about even coming onto a consultation call. And I get a lot of different inquiries where people feel kind of intimidated to just come forth and even have an evaluation with us. And so I like to share from my client's perspective what they would say and how they would let you know about their experience and what's possible, and things that may benefit you in terms of questions you have and understandings that you may want to gain. So I'm really, really grateful that my amazing client, Larissa Amato, is with me today. And we're going to just go through a conversation together and learn about Larissa's journey from where she was when she first met me on that interesting day in her life, and where she is now, and what that experience was. So I'm going to have Larissa introduce herself and tell us a little bit about herself. So Larissa, go ahead and share with us who you are.
Hi, I live in New England in Massachusetts, and I'm a RN. I'm a nurse, a mom, and a wife. Um, I really enjoy helping other people, and it's just something that like naturally feels really good to my heart in this world. So, um, that's basically what I feel like I want to put out there to help people with.
Yeah, thank you.
Um,
So Larissa, thanks for sharing that. Right off the bat, I just want to share with everybody, because Larissa is a nurse, that uh, there are so many nurses that have gone through our program, so many nurses that inquire about our program. And it's also why, even though Larissa is just one of my favorite people in my entire life ever, I still, one of the reasons I wanted to have her share her story is because there's so many nurses that share similar struggles to where Larissa was. And I know that this can shed a lot of light for the nursing community. So that's a really important intention that we have today, too. And so, like so many of you, Larissa, as she just shared, she's a professional in the helping, field. Very, very important. One of the top professions, one of the top most important professions that there is for our society. And it's a big responsibility. And then Larissa, has a wonderful family, great husband and children, and a full plate of things going on, just like all of you. And so, Larissa, give us a sense of, with this life that you were living before I met you,
mhm.
and that you live now. Give us all a sense of what it was in that life that is so full, and a kind of life that so many people desire to have. What was it that was just not feeling the way you wanted it to? Like, what struggles were you experiencing? What just was not working for you in your life?
Um, I felt like I couldn't find much balance between what was going on in work and what was going on at home. I felt like they were kind of two different worlds. And I also felt like my energy levels were really unpredictable. I didn't really know whether one day I'd feel a certain way or the next day I'd, have as much energy as, a 10 out of a scale of 0 to 10. So it was really hard to go every day feeling like I wasn't sure what was gonna
Yeah.
come for that day. Um, and because I truly enjoy being with people and connecting with them, when my energy level was down, I felt like I couldn't be myself and I couldn't really, be the mom I wanted to be the wife I wanted to be, and just really enjoy like the everyday things that really matter to me.
Larissa, this is an important point for sure because so many people have this energy issue, and especially in the helping field, right, where
Mhm.
it is so important. And when any of us are in that role, in those moments and those responsibilities, there's other people on the end of what's going on. And when you have that kind of heart and nurturing disposition, it's really something, right? To feel like instead of being able to give what you want to give, you're struggling in your own right. Sometimes some nurses I've talked to feel like they feel worse than their patients.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so this energy issue and the inconsistency and feeling that struggle, I know so many of you in this community can relate to that. And I was just thinking recently about what are the things that I think are sort of the most painful things that I've ever experienced and that my clients have ever experienced. And I feel like that kind of exhaustion and that unpredictability of energy and the days where it's not there
Mhm.
are, I think it's kind of an underrated sort of level of significant pain. Would you
Mhm.
agree with that, Larissa?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It it gets you at like a deeper level where you feel like you just don't know, what you can't trust your body to, um, you know, do the things it wants to do throughout the day. And so I think the coping mechanism is just to like, drink coffee or, just survive. You're
Yeah.
just pushing yourself. You just keep, going to the next thing without really thinking about what's going on in a deeper level.
Incredible point to make here, Larissa, that this is what happens for anybody. We have a natural instinct to meet our responsibilities, to do things we feel like we need to do. So there's all these coping mechanisms and ways of propping ourselves up. And yet the quality can feel like, you're doing stuff, but you're not really alive. Like there's a real
Hmm.
flat, empty feeling, which makes it, even when you have wonderful things in your life, it makes it challenging to experience them. And Larissa, if I remember, that also that had a quality of guilt for you as well, right? Feeling like you have this great life. And what was
Yeah.
that like? What was that like to feel like, just this is what I've been able to cultivate in my life, but I can't really feel like I'm living it. I mean, what other kind of struggles did that bring up for you?
Well, because I've been exposed to so many different patients that have had a lot of struggles with, anything from drug addiction to abuse, people coming from war in Africa, cancer. It just felt like they were the ones that were going through so much. How can I say that I have something that what is my worth in this? And like, is that something that I can really control or just like heal for myself? Because I just felt like I was concentrating on everybody else. So the guilt was just from like feeling like my life was doing really well on the outside, but on the inside, I knew that there was something else going on and there was more to this world that I can enjoy, um,
Yeah,
and fulfill for myself.
yeah, yeah. Um, and Larissa, what would you say were sort of the biggest impacts that you felt from what was going on with you? The biggest things that you saw, how what you were feeling challenged to navigate for yourself, how that was impacting. So we know, I kind of get a sense you felt like it was impacting your work and all that. But anything else to mention about how you felt it was impacting your life?
It was definitely spilling over to other areas of my life. there were times like when I would come home very, very tired, and sometimes I would get upset with my husband for no reason. I'd also kind of take, if it was a harder day at work, I would take a couple of extra days to recover. And I couldn't do the things I wanted to do with my kids. And I just felt like I was running on empty. I wasn't there to like be present with them because I was like still stuck in this lower zone of energy and, um, just kind of carrying over a lot of things from my job into my home life.
You mentioned something really important as well, Larissa, is for people to, I think, really understand. I remember our conversation about this is that when this kind of experience is happening, when this is going on inside a person, and you do push I've got my kids, my family, my work, I'm going to push to meet these responsibilities. I'm going to survive my way through them. I'm going to force my way through them because your heart's desire is also to do them, right? So this
Yeah.
challenge or this cycle of not having consistent energy, pushing yourself, but then having these recovery cycles. So, right? So,
Yeah.
which again is part of in our, Larissa, I know you know this by now, but that's how we see people losing their full potential of each day because not only maybe feeling less than on most days,
Mhm.
less than optimal, but whatever's going on, then there's still these recovery cycles where it's like I've just got to, isolate or I've just got to just keep everything
Mhm.
simple and life is going on and in our world our clients they don't want to be on the sidelines. They don't
Mhm.
want to be recovering just from being a person, and that recovery cycle creates a lot of loss and a lot of guilt and shame and feeling of not being able to fulfill your life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so important for everybody to understand. And in my initial talking to Larissa, that was one of the most important things I recall having us look at is recovery. This pushing and recovery issue, and how
Yeah.
recovery, uh, days of recovery may help you a bit, but it never quite gets you to exactly where you want to be as a person.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Larissa, what were the biggest goals that you had for yourself coming into the program?
I wanted to really learn how to deal with my emotions on a deeper level, and just be able to process things that I was going through so that I could have I could be able to predict what the next day would bring. So I would have more balance in my life. I also wanted to be able to like have the energy to, I know it sounds funny, but to give more, but to give more of me on a bigger level and not just the person that just shows up every day kind of going through the motions.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
yeah, so that was some there was and of course I wanted to just be, my kids and my family are number one for me, so I just wanted to be like a role model and have the tools to show them how they can, deal with their emotions in
Yeah.
everyday life too.
Love that. That's one of my favorite things about you, Larissa, is I just remember that sense of, and it's what I love so much about how much you want to show up and how much you don't want to just phone it in, clock in or whatever, that
Hmm.
you really want to have those connections in what you're doing each day rather than it just being a job. And wanting to give is really wanting to share yourself with your patients, with people in your life, and have it really be a connection rather than like things are going on, but you know that you're not even having the internal resources to be connected
Hmm.
and how that feels. And that's so important for everybody to understand that, like, that's a real thing that happens. We all at certain points, and depending where you are in your journey with yourself, everyone, being in life, being at events, being in moments, and feeling like things that should be feeling fulfilling or exciting to you, or just you feel grateful for them, but you can't experience them other than to kind of be physically there, and the level of sadness that can be there. And then what can happen. And Larissa, I think we talked about this too, is that then you not only do you have these different coping mechanisms, but then you're also trying to fill up something. It could be with food, it could be with anything. You're trying to
Hmm.
fill up what you can't experience just in your daily life, right?
Yeah.
Am I remembering that right? That was a piece of it, right, for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to reach for different things that would give me like a short term feeling of, um, that burst of energy or happiness that I wanted to feel,
Yeah.
where I felt like I could be myself more.
Got it.
Um,
Yeah. And
yeah.
Larissa, one of our things that we discuss, and like so many people, you'd been really, you're a health expert yourself, and you'd really been searching you'd been continuing to try to develop what it is that you wanted for yourself, and to heal that, and to be
Yeah.
really super well. And I know one of your concerns, like so many people in this community, is stuff hasn't worked for me, and I'm afraid it won't work, and I don't want to be disappoint myself even more. And so, what looking now, what do you think? Why do you think things didn't work the way that you wanted them to, or at least all the way that you wanted them to, and the difference between what it is that you've experienced in this program?
Oh wow. Okay. So part of my journey until I've gotten to this point is I've gone through different therapy sessions. I've tried many SSRI medications, which didn't work for me. um, I tried the extra, everybody says exercise and eat right. I tried that for a long time, which, still is part of my everyday life. But when you have that other layer that you want to address with your emotions, that still plays a huge part in your spirit and your mind and your body. Um, so it does it. You have to be like your own inner warrior. Like you have to really advocate for yourself and truly believe that there's people out there that can help you, because the healthcare system definitely, um, doctors don't always have the time to remember everything in your history and sit down with you and go over everything that's going on in your life at the moment. So they try to do what's they know is best, what they learned in school, and they mostly will give you a prescription, or they'll tell you to try acupuncture, or give you a list of things to go out and do. But with this program, you feel like you have someone there to support you and really help you through. And it's not just like, here, go there, go here, and this little thing is gonna just help you change the rest of the world. It's not. You do have to do the inner work yourself, but it's fun and it's enjoyable, and you learn so much. Um, so it's life is a learning journey. So as long as you just keep going and really learn about yourself and learn about what's out there, like you'll get there. You will. I mean, I can't stress that enough, that there is people out there that are very helpful. Um,
Larissa, this
and
is. Oh yeah, go
yeah.
ahead. No, go ahead. Continue.
Um, you know, there's also this inner aspect where you do have to like listen to that inner voice that you have. If you're with somebody, I had postpartum depression, and I was with a psychologist, and she would just go over basic stuff. Like I'd be filling out forms like 1 to 5, 1 to 5. How do you feel? But we never really went in depth about like, I slept like 2 hours a night. She didn't address that. Um, I was drinking caffeine all the time. That contributed to high anxiety. She didn't even ask me what my diet was, which I'm not, it's not something to blame a practitioner like that. But when I'm just saying, if your inner voice is telling you like this doesn't feel right, there's got to be more to this. I need more support. Then keep going. That's it's out there, and Dr. T is wonderful for that.
Oh, thank you, Larissa. There are so many nuggets here, Larissa. Of course, this is why I wanted to do this with you. Of course, I'm getting to share this conversation with, again, Larissa, you're an exceptional health expert. And this is really an important part of why I developed in my career the way that I do things the way that I do, and I'm always working to innovate it because everything can always be better. But that point, that one point already, Larissa, is that there is such a there's such a way in our health field that it is about, go do this and go do this and you should get massages and acupuncture, and none of these things in and of themselves are misguided in any way, but
Mhm.
they often can, they're helpful. But as you said, Larissa, that if you're trying to sort of change something that feels really fundamentally off for somebody
Mhm.
from the inside out, having everything be like this is going to be the answer, and if you just take this supplement, and it doesn't mean all of these things don't have a certain level of impact, but that prescription right there can send people a lot of different directions, and it can be like trying to have a band-aid, on something
Mhm.
that's really like a gunshot wound or something like that.
Yeah.
um, and so that can be confusing. That can also be part of why people can feel really disillusioned and disappointed and concerned that they can't get well, because they've gone down a path of having lots of those external recommendations. And that's also just, and you and I both know this, Larissa, there isn't a ton of training in not only our society, but in our health field, including in our
Mhm.
psychological practitioners, let alone our medical ones, about the depth of our emotional core, our emotional dynamics, and the profound amount of just the profound level of what they are in our life and what it means and
Mhm.
what they do and what they cause and what they can create. So it's not a constant conversation. That's why I also like to bring the conversation into this community that much more. And then, Larissa, you make another, again, very important point that if something isn't working, and you all, any of you, you're in these positions, it's not as to sit there and judge, it's to understand, no, I hear that advice, but there's something more that I need, and to really be your own, to truly become your own expert, at least in saying, there's more than I need than this advice. And maybe even if the advice feels completely wrong for you, meaning that it won't do the job, to be able to be that advocate, at least to yourself, to say, I appreciate that input, and I feel like there's something, deeper that I need to address. It's a
Mhm.
really, really important point for everyone. Otherwise, we can be in the passenger seat with our own providers, right?
Yeah.
And that can cost a lot in a lot of different ways, spiritually, financially. It can cost our time and all of that. So there's important wisdom, Larissa, that you're sharing. And so, Larissa, as you begin to do the program, and I love, your high level of diligence in the process and application to it, and an investment into your transformation from where you were to where you wanted to be. What were things that you were finding were really beneficial for you?
Um, there's so much in the program that's you can learn so much from. There's a lot about like how your body works and why it works a certain way. There's also a lot about like relationships and it. I think what Dr. T offers is she just offers like yeah, it's just like yeah, that's what I've been waiting to hear like my whole life. Like she just like solidifies like what you are feeling inside. There's, we talk about how you can be like a sensitive person, and a lot of people in this program are very sensitive. So there's not a lot of people out there in this world that understand that. And I think hearing from Dr. T, a lot of these different ways that sensitive people process things and how, um, the world sees it also like she's just reassuring and who you are as a person and helping to give you that extra feeling of you know this is you and it's okay to be you and this is how you can get through um, these these times with like your best self. So that I loved that. I loved looking at my my 23andMe health history that uncovered some things that really helped me figure out maybe what's going on with my body and how to just take something that could give me a little extra boost. Let's see, there's so
Yeah.
many. Just hearing Dr. T's voice every day is like having a cheerleader sitting next to
Aw.
you, and just that positivity and her energy just like helps you just feel just so good every day. It's just like it's having like a best friend by your side. So
Aw.
it's just awesome. It's like wow, that's I wish I had this person every day in my life. I just feel like I have um this feeling that like somebody actually gets me.
Hmm.
So I just love that.
Thank you, Larissa. Wow, that's one of the greatest things that I could ever hear. It's exactly how I want that to be for everyone. Because I've been where everybody has been, feeling like, there's a bunch of things that maybe certain people don't understand,
Yeah.
and there's people like us, and this is what it's like to be us, and here's what we need to make life the best it can be, and even to allow ourselves to just create even more than we might have ever thought we could when we were just trying to get through being emotionally sensitive
Yeah.
in this world. So, Larissa, I really appreciate what you're saying so much, in that uh, you're given. I think it's really beneficial in terms of how else would you describe the program and the experience? I think it's really important.
Um so with the program, it's something that I 5 years ago I think I've actually dreamt up this program because as I've been going through my therapy sessions and some of the ups and downs in my life. My husband he has his master's in nutrition. We both in the healthcare field. And this program covers a lot of the things that we think that it treats a whole person. Like nutrition is very huge for a person to learn. There are things that you put in your body that you could have an allergy to and not necessarily have a reaction outwardly to, but it just kind of makes you feel differently. And you're never taught that growing up. Even just eating junk food or
Yeah.
sugar all day that makes your blood sugar go up and down. That gives you it can give you mood swings up and down. Um, it just leads to feeling like you're not able to handle what you want to
Yeah,
handle.
stress.
And the program has so much support with different coaches that you can talk to one on one, and it does go over like your history, some things in your past that are very hard to bring up. it's something that you kind of like may have put down in a deeper level, locked up in a box somewhere, but that's part of the healing process, and the program takes you through that in a very supportive, empathetic, compassionate way where you don't feel like you're alone in it, and that you don't have to struggle too far to go through that. I find that that was probably the hardest part for me,
Yeah.
is to, kind of go over some things in my past that may have like shaped how my emotions are today. But I'm glad I did it because it's just part of me, and I learned a lot about myself, and it's just part of the growing process, and it gets you where you want to go. Sometimes it's just getting through, um, the root of things to just grow and blossom into who you want to be. So,
Larissa, you
yeah.
were just so courageous, right? Going through, there's so much that you're learning and growing and to be able to do, but it's
Yeah.
also a process of learning about yourself on a level that you may not have ever even thought of, even existed, or even, and so you speak to something really important, is that, um, you're going to go through a very particular roadmap and a very particular process that has every type of important strategy designed in it, for it to be as strategic and successful and deliver the results, in a very short period of time.
Hmm.
So, Larissa, for you, what were some of the, I will just say, we'll just say in general. So the sort of list, or the top sort of most significant results that you've experienced, things that you feel like were so life changing for you, things that you feel like you can do now on a different level, and things like you feel like you're going to be able to do now for the rest of your life. What are those big changes for you?
So I feel like that I have, less drama in my life. I'm able to kind of like see things from a different perspective instead of jump into like a reaction mode a lot. If my husband has something he's dealing with at work, um, I'm able to really help him go through those things. Just, it doesn't involve like, going back and forth, arguing or disagreeing. We can have a great conversation and feel like we can move on with understanding, and just both of us feeling really good afterwards.
I love that.
As far as work goes, that's been like a huge change for me. I've definitely been able to see that it's really important to take care of myself when I'm at work, and to be able to, not get wrapped up in the emotional side that I'm surrounded with at work, because there is a huge environmental influence with everybody around me. Talking about this person, that person, this patient's not doing well. Look at what happened to this patient,
Yeah.
and I really had to look at what was important for me and how I'm going to take that information in, and how I'm going to process it in a way that helps me be be a healthy person, not, wake up tomorrow with this hangover feeling of, oh my God, what happened?
Yeah.
Um, I've also been able to just, you know see my future as like having so much fulfillment, and, joy and adventure, just opportunities just like waiting for me. There's just like this huge amount of like, gratefulness that I have, where I'm able to just like see things in a whole different light. It's just really cool. um, I'm trying to think. There's so many things.
Well,
One of the
Larissa,
things,
yeah, how about that energy? How's the progression? of your energy in a sense of where more consistency is lying. Where is that ranking for you now?
I definitely have better consistency in it. I still what's easy for me is when I feel like I have lower energy, I know how to deal with it. I know what I need to do. I'm able to put myself first a little easier. I can really just like have control over it. I'm just able to like feel like it's in the ball's in my court now. I'm not like just letting the external world just like bounce me around in different directions. So,
Oh.
I'm able to like advocate for myself better. Um,
And what would you say, what would Damon's sort of sense of what's different now in you and in your life together, and maybe in the kids too? What would their perspective be?
he definitely feels like he's very thankful for the the non-reaction that I have, I guess, over certain things. He just feels like we have like a better like partnership, and he's able to just feel like he's not in charge of my emotions. One of the
Mm,
things was that I was really kind of putting blaming him for not helping me with my emotions, which you know I want him to be there and be a support, but he I am the one that is in charge of who I am and how I love myself. I No one else can really give that to me, and he's just there to add to that. He's just like the icing on the cake to help me when I need it. So he would just feel like he's just like very happy for me and
oh.
seeing me like go through all this growth. He's very, he just is very grateful too.
And do you think the kids have been noticing, or because I know, or even Larissa, if you want to speak to one of the things I always love to hear from you is about how you're applying things with the kids
Yeah.
and all of that, right? So I think people would really be interested in that, right? That
Yeah.
one. So what would you say
Yeah.
about that?
Um, my daughter is definitely someone that's highly sensitive, just like me, and I love that I have this opportunity where she's so young. She's 6, and I can help her build a foundation to help herself with her emotions. I try to remind her, okay, well, how do you want to feel? What is it that you want to feel in school tomorrow? Let's talk about how we can get there. And you know, it's not always like clean cut answer because she is 6, so she's just like, I don't know. But there are times when she will just randomly come out to say, and say to me, Mom, I'm really looking forward to doing this because I know it's going to feel fun. Like, I know she's picking up on it because I can see it throughout the day where she's talking about it. It may not be directly like,
Mm.
Mom, you said this and I feel this, but she's definitely expressing it in ways that I can tell it's making a difference for her.
And how does
Um,
that feel, Larissa, to be able to provide that foundation in a way that you want to?
it's just awesome. I've always wanted to like break the family patterns that I've had. Between my mom and my dad. I love them so much, but there's things that I just didn't learn, and I saw them do, and it turned into a pattern for me. So it's just like awesome to be able to make a new pattern, or just kind of like take what I've learned from them and apply it to doing something different about it. Um,
Yeah.
so I've always thought about like passing on to generations a new way of doing things
Yeah.
instead of, some of these ways that we've learned growing up that
Yeah.
don't really help us so much.
Well, I love this, and for everybody to know how important it is when I see my clients not only develop so much within themselves to be able to make so much more potential out of their life in each day, But that much more important, having been someone myself, that when I was such an emotionally sensitive person, my parents didn't know how to handle my emotions. People in my life, boyfriends and certainly, having been married and divorced, of course, when we're not able to handle our own self, we're naturally, that spills out, and we're wanting help with that. And it's one of my greatest missions, especially for husbands, because in this work for my clients, to become so empowered, because the husbands of the world, they don't have the training, nor can they really take care of our emotions in the way that we would want them to. They hardly know how to take care of their own. And I just love knowing when my clients feel liberated, and then their husbands are liberated from the job that they so badly want to do, right? They want to be heroic. That's
Hmm.
their greatest, they're socialized to want to be heroic. They want to be so heroic and everything. And I know they feel a struggle when they feel like they can't fix something or be that hero. And Larissa, thank you for that perspective of, that now Damon and you get to be partners, and you're the hero to yourself, and he can be the hero to himself, and he can be the hero in all these different ways, but not in something that he could never really have ever accomplished,
Yeah.
right? Wouldn't have been.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
also, yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I think that one of the things that you've been really helpful with is like there's a lot of questioning around like especially when your parents or just like dealing with things in life. Well, how do I deal with this? What is the
Yeah,
best way? Because my mom dealt with it this way. This person deals with it that way, and you just kind of get confused as
yeah,
far as what is going to give me the best outcome.
yeah,
And I think that you've been really helpful just giving that like solid grounded way of getting the outcome that you want, and being able to really understand why you're doing what you're doing.
yeah. No, Larissa, another great concept for us to all get a sense of, because I felt the same way. I thought there's so much info about who's
Yeah.
handling things in certain ways. I would observe my family, my friends, and and then that would be almost even more overwhelming, right? To have that question about how to proceed in life and how to connect to something or think about something. And this methodology is absolutely designed for it to be really foolproof and
Yeah.
very practical, tactical, strategic, and simple at its core, although very, 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 very powerful and effective. And so, Larissa, then with that, how would you describe your sense of your capacity for the rest of your life in whatever endeavors, whatever things come onto your radar, whatever things that you're cultivating in your life? How would you describe that sense of the capacity that you feel now?
I feel like I just have a lot of inner guidance that I'm using more, and as long as I keep trusting that, which that has changed so much, I can trust what I'm actually feeling and how I want to proceed with it. I feel like my capacity is just overflowing. Like I'm able to really um, look forward to the net. Not look forward to it. I don't want. I don't want to have to deal with a lot of things. I really wish the best for my family and my friends. But I feel like I'm able to be the person I want to be in the situation when it occurs, and just really look back and feel like I'm I am the person that I'm meant to be. So
I love that.
yeah,
Well, and I think that's, I get a lot of questions about how could possibly in a certain amount of weeks, a time frame, a short time frame relative to how long people have been really working on themselves. how could it be possible that they could feel like they'd be able to live their potential? But Larissa, what you're describing is that, right, you've got the internal capacity and the internal infrastructure now to navigate in a situation and know
Yeah.
you're gonna be able to operate in a way that you feel congruent with,
Hmm.
and that's such a key thing for people to understand is that, you know, Larissa, we know you haven't dealt with every single thing in your life that you want to up level and upgrade. You haven't conquered it all, but
Yeah.
it's not about that. It's about coming through this process and transforming to have a methodology of being a person, a way of being a person that not only addresses things while you're in the program, because we're using what's going on with your life to help you grow into this, but
Hmm.
that you then end up with the capacity to know, I'm going to be able to know how to navigate, and it really doesn't matter the exact situation or
Hmm.
circumstances. And would you
Yeah.
say that that's a sense of security and empowerment that you basically live with now, knowing that you're going to be able to do what you need to do in your life, and in what you want to build and grow and do, create as your legacy as a person?
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely something that has changed for me over the past 12 or more weeks with the
Mhm.
program. It's definitely given me a lot of strength in knowing that I have all I have to do is just concentrate on how I want to be in this situation, and it doesn't it doesn't have to it doesn't have to look a certain way or be a certain way, or I don't have to please anybody else in the situation. I just have to really concentrate on what I want the outcome to be
Mhm.
for everybody, and mostly like for how I want to like feel overall. Because it's really just important to you know it's actually still hard for me to say to put myself first, but
Mm.
every day I
Yeah.
remind myself that it's very important for who I am and what I want to be in this world. So,
Yeah. Now, Larissa, just a couple more questions. Um, what would you say to people who really want to do this transformation and really feel there's such a range of things that people share and reach out and say, yeah, I've been so disappointed. I feel like everybody says that they can do stuff and then it never happens. Uh, I've tried everything. What if I am just not capable of change? And even, just knowing, there's a very high proportion of nurses that
mhm.
that reach out to us, and again, some of them come through the program, and then, to in all transparency, some of them are just too scared. They'll admittedly say, I'm just too afraid and I'm just not sure that this can work for me. What would you say to those kinds of concerns that people would have, Larissa?
I would just say that you really just have to believe in the program and to just take that step for yourself, because you are going to get what you want out of the program. There's no doubt in my mind that you are going to find what you're looking for and get the outcomes that you want to get. Um, and I know that can be counterintuitive because of the healthcare system, but you just have to believe that this is not the healthcare system that you've experienced in the past. This is a new way of doing things. It's a new way of learning about your body, your mind, um, everything that goes into being the best person that you want to be. It's just it's going to help you be a better nurse. It's going to help you you know meet your goals, just be the best you can be, and you just really have to trust that this will really help you. I can't say that I can't say that any other way except for just um, believe in Dr. T, because she does absolutely know what she's talking about, and the future of healthcare, it has to
Yeah,
change, because it's not working for so many
yeah.
people. And Dr. T and the way she does things is a new way of doing things, and it's absolutely very helpful.
Thank you, Larissa. As a little a follow up to that, because it's along the same lines, but it's even more specific in that sense of how things are changing. Um, People can be very not used to getting results this kind of more quickly. This process that's got a more
Yeah,
intensive, comprehensive, where people have like, no, we have a set of goals and versus an open-ended process that's more of a
yeah,
piecemeal process. And so people have a mindset, of like all the co-pays and all
yeah,
and then they're not used to totaling it up, right? It's like, oh, I do this, I have my massage, I have all these things. So there can be an intimidation about more of like allocating those resources that would have been spent in the struggle over
right,
time and putting
right.
it more up front to get your results and your time that you want back. So,
Yeah.
Larissa, for people that feel like they've never made a more comprehensive investment in a comprehensive process, anything else you would add to that?
I would say if I did this program, like, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago, I probably could have saved myself quite a bit of money. Um, but it's not that I don't regret what little, tiny tidbits I've learned along the way. But this definitely is worth like the investment that you make. And it's just you have to do what feels right
Yeah.
to you. I do, just as you were talking, just something came up to me about like how there's so many things about like dieting, and I know a lot of nurses tend to go into different diets. We talk about it all the time in the break room. What are you eating? What are you doing now? And I think that we and I haven't invested as much money, but I know a lot of people have invested money into, you know, eating programs that
Yeah.
haven't worked. So I can see where you might think like, well, that I've been through 10 different diets, none of them have worked.
Yeah.
So it just feels like another program that you're just trying, and it's not going to give you the long-term results that you're looking for. But this is not that type of program. This is Dr. T wants to see you do well in every capacity, and she won't let you leave the program without feeling like you have. So
Oh,
this,
very
this
helpful.
is the real thing.
Very helpful, Larissa. And as we wrap, any parting shots to anybody, to people that have been where you are, anything else that you'd want to say? No, nothing needs to be said. Just one last check in about anything that you'd share, knowing people have been where you are.
Actually, I just had this quote come up on my phone because I've been really like adding quotes throughout the day just to remind me of
Okay.
positivity and inspiration. And the quote that came up is, growth is uncomfortable because you've never been there before, but you just have to move forward and really put yourself out there to do what's best for you, because you are the most important person in your life.
I love that. Oh my God, there could not be a more perfect wrap up for us, Larissa.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, thank you so much again. I love you from the bottom of my heart. It's been my absolute pleasure to just know you, to get to connect with you, to collaborate with you, to see you be so committed and coachable and open and applying everything. And it makes my dream come true, my purpose and my dream to get to spend my these months with you. And now you're family now, and we'll be connected for life from here on
Yeah.
out. and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and again, I just couldn't love you more and couldn't appreciate you more for connecting with this community and sharing yourself with us. So
Thank you.
you're so welcome. So everyone, just to close out this conversation with Larissa, if any of you connect to what Larissa shared on any level and you feel like you might be ready to just even inquire about what might be possible and have us go through an evaluation to look at where you're at, where you want to go, and what the program looks like. And, it's a very compassionate, very comprehensive process. It's there to help. It's there to just give you a sense of making decisions for yourself. And if you want to be able to do that, all you have to do is book a call, come onto the schedule, and you don't have to be afraid. Everything would be learning in that process and you making decisions. So I just want to welcome all of you into giving yourself the opportunity to learn more. And in the meantime, I just wish you all the ability to live your potential each day and to know that you're worth doing that, just like Larissa said. So thank you all and take care.
Bye.